A while back I reviewed the iPhone SE 2020 and I was definitely not nice to it. But then I started reviewing the iPhone SE from 2022 and I gotta say, clearly improved, but also not perfect. And why would it be perfect? This phone is like the performance version of a car that has a terrible design but internally was boosted. For one, the design is the exact same with some colors being a little bit different shades, but again, glass on the front and back with the small camera, mic hole, and flash. The metal frame that has nothing on the top, the left having the mute switch and volume buttons, while the right side has a power button and SIM tray. The bottom has holes for 2 microphones, 2 pentalobe screws, and a lightning port that does USB 2.0 at 20 watts of wired charging. We still get the loudspeaker that pairs with the earpiece for an okay stereo sound. The screen design is the same, being the exact same 4.7-inch 750p LCD screen. Again, literally. Of course, the home button is still here, being literally the last iPhone with it, and also with Touch ID. All of these have been the same parts. A lighter 144 gram weight, losing 4 grams, but the same Bluetooth 5.0, Wi-Fi 6, eSIM support, and IP67 dust and water resistance. This does gain 5G support, but no 5G ultra-wideband. Inside, lots of similarities too. Same camera, same wireless charging, same storage sizes, being 64, 128, or 256 gigabytes of non-expandable storage. But here's what makes the phone better: the processor. It has the Apple A15 Bionic chip that has 4 gigabytes of RAM, and somehow in 2 years, a 30 to 50% performance increase and an extra gigabyte of RAM, making a huge difference. Also, the battery got a less than 1% size increase to reach 2018 milliamps, which is essentially less than the typical and nominal battery ratings, but that also makes a pretty decent difference. Of course, it's still not perfect, but the battery life is very usable now. Even the cameras don't change, but they do. While hard to notice at times, the image processing is a little bit better and the edge goes to the 2022 version. No shocker there. We still get 19 megapixels of camera, with the front camera being the odd 7 megapixel sensor that looks okay and shoots 1080p video at 30 frames per second. Boring, I know. They should have made it a 9 megapixel sensor so then they can give us at least 4K video years ago and still give us a weird megapixel count. No optical image stabilization or focusing here, and no Slow-Fi, if you even remember what that was. Between Slow-Fi, Backtap, Name Drop, Memoji, and SharePlay, which one do you actually remember, and especially, which one do you actually use? Then the rear camera is a single optically stabilized 12 megapixel sensor that looks like an iPhone 8 camera because it pretty much is. Like I said, the cameras are the same parts, so quality will look very similar, with the image processing being different at times. I will say that the 4K 60 frames per second video probably looks better than the iPhone 8, but it doesn't look like the iPhone 13, which has the same processor, but obviously not the same camera. Now, I love having just one back camera on this phone for reviews, but I do know that people are obsessed with the ultra-wide cameras for some reason. Now, this is where I tell you that this phone is horrible for me, and it's true, but also not. While I don't like the design anymore, I would be lying if I said that this wasn't actually a good phone. There are too many things that would still make the iPhone 12 mini more appealing than this phone, but it's nice to know that there is a 4-year-old iPhone with a home button that I could recommend to someone who's looking for this type of phone. Even with iOS 26, this phone still runs good, not being iPhone 16 level of course, but definitely handling this better than the iPhone SE 2020. That said, should you? This still has the same issue where 625 nits is great out of the screen, but use it for a little bit and the phone gets warm and dims, being slower to dim than the 2020 version, but still happens pretty quickly. Given the price, $100-ish isn't bad, and an iPhone 12 mini doesn't hit this pricing, but even then, it's hard to recommend this phone. I will say that everything on this phone is essentially $20 or less to fix yourself, which is what makes it a better phone than any phone in this price point, and especially if you move that budget higher. The LCD screen is a curse and a blessing, not looking great quality-wise, but cheap and easy to replace if you do break it. Batteries too, which is something to consider on a phone that is going on 4 years old. Mine is good, luckily, but not everyone is selling phones like I do. I get why people love this phone, but at the same time, the cost cutting is just annoying. It means a few things though, and one of them is hard to prove, and that's longevity. Sure, parts can be replaced, but when the board starts to fail, you gotta find someone who can do those repairs, which is gonna be costly. That said, I think that this was more of an issue on the 2020 version, and I haven't really seen too many issues on the 2022 version. It's weird to both recommend and not recommend this phone, given the other phones that are out there. But if for some reason you just have to have a home button, this is your phone. And that's my review of the iPhone SE 2020, the last home button iPhone, thankfully. But what do you think? I know you probably love this phone, so tell me which one you would get after this phone that you believe is comparable, and please don't say the iPhone 16e. I got a video for that one coming up this year. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.